Okay, so we have one major Indian in tonight's daf. Just have to finish up the parak, so the guy should get the l'chaims ready, and then we continue. The next parak continues with how she brings the korban mincha, and how it has to be waved, and then on Amud Beis is basically the whole sugya of at what point does she drink the water? At what point is it after the karbonos, before the karbonos, and all that? So a couple of machlokes. So that's basically tonight's stuff. So Tana Rabbana, we're on Yud Ches Amud Beis. Yeah, about 10 lines up. Yeah, you have it. Tana Rabbana. So Tana Rabbana. So is Torah HaKenois. So the pasuk says this is the Torah of Kenois. Melamid she'isha shaisa v'shayna. So the word Torahs is plural, right? So therefore, it's coming to say that she could have multiple drinks, meaning he could be chayshid his wife. She drinks the drink, and then he's and then their marriage, whatever, then they straighten it out, and then he's chayshid her again, right? So he's allowed to do that because Tairas is plural. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Zois is not plural. So Zois she'ena isha shaisa v'shayna. Zois meaning this woman could eat, not eat. I'm sorry. She could drink, and that's it. She does not have to. Once she did it once, that's it. Yeah. So that's a machlokes, whether a woman could do multiple drinking or not. So right, that there was the story that was told to us from the Chunya Chayv Shichin. That's a Rashi says he was this guy. He was I wouldn't say a grave digger, but he dug. He would dig the holes for them to have water for people, for the Oile Regalim. So I guess he had some information. So he said Sha'isha Shaisa V'Shayna, that a woman can drink and it could be repeated. We were makabel his words by two men, Avol loy be'ish echad, but not by one man. Right? Meaning, if the guy, let's say the first husband pulled off this thing on his wife and was chayshid her, so he cannot do it again.
Yaakov,
yeah.
Can I interrupt for a minute because this? So it's the first time ever I was home. So I was watching on YouTube from the Holocaust Remembered, the Yom HaZikaron from Yad Vashem. So one of the people who was lining the left, they had him. They interviewed him before. He was. I'll say it quick. He was a little boy in Minsk, and they had a bunker, and the bunker was made for 7 people from his family. But 27 people ran in when the Yamach Shemainik came, and they lived there, 27 people, for 9 months. And during the 13 or 14 people died. And they used to dig holes in the bunker to bury the people that died. And one time there was no water, and they didn't know what to do because they were running out. They ran out of food, but they ran out of water. And they dug another hole to bury somebody, and water started coming out of the ground. There was enough water for them to drink, and the water was getting so high, so they davened the water should stop, and the water stopped, but they had enough water to drink, and then they got out in a few months later. Yeah, I mean, he said this over today. He's kind of hurry. He's like 90 now or whatever.
Where he said this over at Yad Vashem?
Yeah, well, they interviewed him before. I don't know how they showed it to the people in the audience, but and it was 6 people, all people from the Churban. They were all left together with an anicle or a child. And this was his story. This mamish this case.
Wow, pretty wild. That's pretty wild. I'm not so sure. I'm not think maybe I'm happy I wasn't there. I don't know if I'll be able to handle that, but yeah, it's an interesting story. So anyway, so we said that we listened to this edus of this Nechunya Chai V'Shichin by what was that? I lost the place. B'shnei Anoshim, but B'loi B'ish Echad, meaning she's allowed to take the drink from two different husbands, but from one husband not. The Chachamim hold a woman. Once she drinks, and that's it. She doesn't have to drink again, meaning she's proven herself. So what does that mean? So that means that a woman can go be mezana. Obviously, no, she's obviously not going to be mezana, but she doesn't. She can go talking to other men, and she doesn't have to worry that she's going to have to drink the drink. Right? I'm saying she, according to Chachamim, she says, you're chayshing me. I drank the drink. I drank it already. I'm out. You can make me meshuga all you want.
Well, she received the brachas from the drink.
Right.
So presumably she should take that as a haskama. Whatever she was doing was correct. It's the husband's issue.
Correct. I don't know if it was correct.
She wouldn't get a bracha for doing something illegal.
I'm not sure I understand why she got the bracha. Be honest with you. Be honest. She did enough wrong.
She was decisive with the man.
She didn't do. It's the husband's kinna that caused the whole thing, not her action.
She still was alone with the man in a house.
Or a store or wherever.
Not to be alone with.
Yeah, you have to say what Gershon's saying is correct because but I don't know. I what should I tell you? I don't.
Yichud is aser.
I don't understand.
No. One time. If you're chayshim b'sher, don't they say you have to give a bracha?
Yes.
The person may have done something.
I don't know where that comes from anyway.
Maybe it comes from here. Who said they did something right? They did something wrong, but you said they did something worse. And now you all have a bracha.
I'm sorry. What's the question again?
All the embarrassment she had is the kapara, so now she can get a bracha.
You accused her of doing something worse than she did. Didn't say she did anything great.
No,
What's bothering you? What's bothering you?
No, it's not a major kasha. Just according to the Chachamim that say she drinks once and that's it. So then she could go teasing her husband and she's like, hey, I drank it already. I drank the drink. I don't have to. I'm saying, what's the threat over her? We saw.
Didn't we have it that says that,
Wait a minute.
It's going to blow up her stomach?
It is, yes. It's going to blow up her stomach, yes.
So so once she drank it, we erased Hashem's name. Then if she does it a second time, it's going to work from the first time.
That was what?
That it's going to work.
That was Rameir.
That's Rameir's sheet.
You can't say that. That takes away whole bechira.
Well, that was yesterday's daf. That was yesterday's daf. Right. So according to Rameir L'chayra, there's that was the next shlav of the question. According to Rameir L'chayra, this whole Gemara doesn't apply, right? Because according to Rameir, she has to make a shvua that she's not going to do this again, and the original drink that she drank will negatively affect her if she goes back to her bad ways. Right, so l'chayra, this Gemara is not in according to Shita's Rameir.
Could be Lamaskana that Rameir is included in the Tanakama.
Right. Okay, could be. I don't know.
Once you bring Shnei Bayalim in, Meir's not talking about that.
Right. Well, yeah, I hear. Okay, whatever. So but bottom line is the machlok is whether a woman drinks twice or not. So Gemara says that that's enough. And again, what's the machlok is based on? Whether you darshan the word zeis. If you darshan the word zeis, then you only drink once. She only drinks once. If you darshan the word tairas, then she could drink multiple times because tairas is plural, it's inclusive. Zeis is singular, so it's exclusive. So, okay, so Gemara asks, "Tanakami nami haksiv zeis." The pasuk says zeis for Rabbana Basroi nami haksiv tairas, which is just the way of the Gemara asking, what does each opinion do with the other's opinion? So Marava beish echad. So now we we explain exactly the machlokes. So if we're talking about one man and one boil, meaning there's one husband and he's chayshid his wife with one specific woman. Everybody agrees that she does not drink, meaning he's the guy, the husband's chayshid her with this one guy. She drinks the drink and she's exonerated. Right? Then a month later, the husband's at it again, being jealous. So then for sure, according to all opinions, she does not have to drink the drink. On Tomid Aleph, the Siv, Zeus, because that it says Zeus. Let's say it's two husbands, meaning two different marriages with two different men. Nobody disagrees that the woman drinks and repeats. Because it says Tyrus. Right? So there's no machlokes there. So each one darshan Zeus. Zeus is for one husband and one manuvel, and Tyrus is for two husbands and two manuvel. It's one man, right? Meaning one husband, but he's chaysheder with two men. Or two husbands, but the same guy. So Tanakama Sava Tyrus l'ribuyi kuli. The word Tyrus includes all cases. And Zeus l'mu'ute yishachar bayal echad. And the word Zeus excludes one man with one bayal. That meaning that that's the only time she has to drink. Sorry. V'Rabbana Basrai Sabri Zeus l'mu'ute kuli. Zeus comes to exclude all cases. Tyrus l'ribuyi shnei hanashim shnei bayalim. And the word Tyrus comes to include two men and two bayalim. Five Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi Yehuda, who's the third shita, Zayis Lamute Tarti, comes to exclude two cases. Tyrus, L'Rabbis, Tarti, and Tyrus comes to include two cases. Zayis Lamute Tarti, what is Zayis coming to exclude? Ish Echad Ubayal Echad. It's coming to exclude one man and one bayal. Right? Ish Echad Ushnei Bayalin, and one man and two bayalin. So that's coming to exclude that those two don't, she doesn't have to drink again. But Tyrus, L'Rabuye Tarti, comes to include two cases. Shnei Anashim Bayal Echad, two husbands and one bayal. Shnei Anashim Shnei Bayalin, two men and two bayalim, so that it comes to include those that she would have to drink. Right? So basically, there's three opinions of what the scenarios would be whether a woman has to drink twice. According to everybody, there's a scenario where she doesn't have to drink twice. That's with one man, one husband, and one suspect. Let's call it suspect, that's the word, right? And according to everybody, two husbands and two suspects, she also has to drink twice. The shaila is the three machlokes is two husbands, one suspect, one husband, two suspects, or a combination of the two. Yeah? Okay. Hadran Allah Chayamevi. Yeah. L'chaim. Yeah.
How are you learning? Tyrus is a ribui by itself. Tyrus is lashon yakir.
Tyrus.
I thought it was miyut hachamil.
Tyrus.
No, Tyrus is one. Tyrus Hashem Tamima.
Why didn't it?
Tyrus.
Meaning, why didn't it just say Torah? Why didn't it say Zeus Torah?
Because the Torah of is Tyrus. Tyrus Hashem. Tyrus Haknois. I thought it was because miyut hachamil. Vein miyut hachamil tell the rabbis.
I don't know.
Rashi's mashma lashon ribur.
Oh, Akiva, welcome back. It's the Tyrus is definitely
look at
a
Rashi, Tyrus Haknois. Look at Rashi, Tyrus Haknois.
Look at Rashi Diksiv Tyrus.
What?
Look at Rashi Diksiv Tyrus.
There's no question that Tyrus is a reboot. That's not a doubt. The Shaila
Rashi doesn't mention anything.
Yes, also the rabbis is for sure because miyut hachamiyut. Ein miyut hachamiyut el the rabbis. But it's definitely singular. There's no shaila that it's singular.
I don't know if it's ain't me.
The reason I'm not interrupting this conversation is because I still get to drink till we start the next parak. So.
At least he
remembers.
It's Geshen. It's singular and possessive.
Yeah, of course it is. It's miyut hachamiyut. That's what's marbe.
Rashi doesn't say anything about Mirach or Mir.
No,
Yeah.
but that's the only way it can be. Rashi says
All right.
clearly it's Lashon Yaakov. Teres Aknois. Torah
Okay.
Achas L'chal Aknois Shebekula.
Gershon?
You're adding to Rashi. I don't know. Okay.
All right.
I just said Rashi. What do you say?
Gershon, when I hear Ein Mir Achar Mir, my whole brain turns off. So I'm ready to go by.
I apologize.
It's not.
Needs one
No,
more
no,
shot.
I
Hold
hear
on.
Larabas and it includes more drinking. So
There you go. There you go. All right. Anyway, I would really like to figure out a way that we chazan the Mishnayos of a parak. I know I mentioned it once, the suggestion. I don't know how exactly we should work that out. If anybody has any suggestions, then fine. But yeah, fine. Zok, there's a new parak, yeah? So now we continue in the whole mahalach of exactly how she ends up drinking. So your noitel, so here's a major toisis right here.
Thursday night, you chazan Mishnayos, extra 20 minutes.
Yeah, but the question is that there's not always a finishing a parak on a Thursday night. That's insane. And we have to have a way that it goes with after a parak.
Thursday night Mishmer. You have a Mishmer.
Maybe. Anyways,
it's
okay.
not called Mishmar anymore, Reb Zev. You got to get with the times. It's called Hachana L'Shabbos.
Yeah.
In your world, it's called Achana L'Shabbos.
That's what it's called.
That's right. Okay, so Yonaitalas minchasa, he takes her mincha, the kohen takes her mincha, right? Mitoich kifas mitzvahs, out of the basket. The niceness klisharis, that already had a few blot ago, and they put into a klisharis to make it kaddish. But niceness al yada. We're doing a Mishnah now, but it's the next parak. You got off your phone, you realize that. But niceness. Sorry.
Okay, I got good muster. Okay.
Yeah. But nice now, it's a long time coming. But nice now, yada, and he puts it.
Jacob, I had to record this.
I have to ask Mechila. I tell you what's right.
Jacob, I was just saying that was a double feature right there.
Yeah, it's one thing you're on Zoom and the islands on their phone. One thing you're gonna come in person. That the reason to come in person is so you don't be on your phone, right? But then again,
Jacob, the truth is, we got to be Dalek House because he's probably helping people with Mechira's comments though.
That could be. It could be.
He's trying to be Mekayim the Zeus of the last Amud.
No, or he didn't want to get confused by Gershon's kasha, so he just tuned it out. That's also a possibility.
Aaron, you could make a fundraiser and tell people that they can't have comments for Pesach Sheni, okay?
Yeah. Or they could. Well, how about they could shave on Friday? But yeah, okay. So anyway, so they take the carbon out.
By the way, shave was fun, but we're allowed to shave on Friday, right?
The what?
We're allowed to shave on Friday, right?
Yes. Yeah, for some reason, the Olam's having a hard time adjusting to this halacha.
We do it every few years.
Is it a new halacha?
No.
What's the big deal? We all know it. I was waiting for you to put it out. We all knew it.
I believe you should shave. Yes,
it's because of
Lakovit Shabbos and Rosh Chodesh, you should shave. I believe so. If the Mishnah Berurah tells
Mishnah Berurah says it's a double simcha.
Byron, it sounds like it's a double question he's trying to tell you. I'm just saying.
The ones I know that's the Bedavka don't are the Sephardi B'nai Torah. They don't shave.
Yes, no, because they are Rizal. They don't shave a whole sphera.
Exactly. Otherwise, it's Mashal should.
Okay, yeah, right. So let's get to
Thursday night.
No, Thursday night already, I don't know. But anyway, let's get to a more controversial subject right now. But nice now, Yada. So what does he do? He takes the carbon, right, and he puts it on top of her hands to do the tnufam, because she has to wave it, right? The kohen meniach yada mitachta, and the kohen puts his hands under her hands, umanifa, and they wave it together, right? I mean, we're talking about a lady who were chashid beznus, and the kohen now comes and puts his hand under her hand, and in the base of mikdash, they're waving a carbon together. I mean,
this is when he becomes a nazir.
Maybe, right? Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, before we go weiter, so
they bring the footnote here.
He brings down a Yerushalmi that an old person.
It's an old elderly Kohen.
Yeah, so that's Tosfos.
Tosfos brings Yerushalmi.
Yeah, Tosfos brings the Yerushalmi. But first,
Toys brings Yerushalmi, that what?
First of all, Tosfos brings that you put a shmata in between, sort of like a mitzvah times. So you put like a shmata in between the two, right? Or Tosfos brings you being a kohen zaken, right? Or a kohen yeled that his yetzer hara is not matzuya l'shah, right?
Or you put it under a keli between.
Well, you use a shmata in between. Use a shmata in between, yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Bottom line is what you're bringing an old man. So what, or a kid, or you do it for a second. So what do you see from this Tosfos?
That age should have a difference.
That if there's not going to be any turn on, let's call it that, then the man could, if it's not chiba, let's call it that, then the gi is allowed, right? So it's mashma from this.
You have a kasha. He cut her. He uncovers her hair. They unbraid her hair. They cut the thing. I mean, this is the least of the problem. No, I don't understand.
You're right. But the bottom line from this Tosfos is some want to bring a raya that you're allowed to shake a woman's hand.
What?
With a shmat in between.
Yeah. No, if you go with the old man, or the young kid and it's only for a second.
You're allowed to shake a Sotah's hand in the base of Hamikdash.
When Lord Jacobowitz went to meet the Queen, Emmanuel Jacobowitz, he took her hand and he tied it. She was wearing a glove, so it was okay.
Okay, so that does make it a little better because it's not hand to hand,
but less worth.
Not hand to hand literally. I'm saying, but the sugya of shaking hand part of it revolves around this Tosfos. Yes,
this Tosfos.
Yes, 100%. That's now. Ramosha Agav in the Chuvas, Ramosha says in 3 different Chuvas, no shaking hands. This was a Shavuos night subject a couple of years back, right? Ramosha.
But Shiloh of Yichud would still apply to an old man. I'm not having words to it. Ramosha still says that Yichud would still be an issue with an old man as well.
But in those days,
why is this different?
They didn't have Viagra.
What does Ramosha do with this Tosfos?
Yeah, and I don't understand the Tosfos because there's no. So the reason why there's Yichud, I think maybe the pshat is, but I'm not sure, that the difference with Yichud is because Yichud is not only Yichud by itself is an isser having nothing to do that it may lead to znus. Right? Yichud by itself is an isser. Right? So mamela, so if there is an old man, right?
Is that always true? I know there's a term when it comes to adopted kids, which Ba'atzim should be usser, according to what you're saying, but we don't say that.
We do, but we just fish around.
Saying, so obviously there's makom to say that's not just isser. There's obviously a makom inside the fact that there's some mitzias to it.
Yeah. So I don't know, Clor, exactly but that's what I think the difference is. Either way, but from this thing, you see that there is such a concept of touching a woman shaloi kederech chiba, and it's not also.
But couldn't you also say that it's different in the base of Mikdash?
You mean, so somebody says, there is somebody that says that pshat, that there's such a, no? I don't know if they say Benegea to this.
Not in Tosfos, because that would be Seiser itself. From Tosfos, you see that it has
still
to
a
be,
problem.
It can't be part of the Avodah. It has to be a separate mitzvah. If it was part of the Avodah, Mappa wouldn't be allowed, neither would an old or a young kohen. Neither would be, none of the answers would be allowed.
You have two things. You ain't shvus b'mikdash. So if any of this is a shvus, so maybe it doesn't apply. And second, Kahanim's reason. Hey.
What? What does it have to do with Shabbos?
Who's talking about Shabbos?
Saying if it's Issa D'Rabbanan, but Rachman, who says it's D'Rabbanan? Might be the rice.
Okay, so then come the Kahanim's reason. I don't know,
Yeah. There's another thing. Let's say chupas nida, right? You have a chupas nida, right? So how can the chassan put the ring on the kala?
He's married to her.
What do you mean? So you're not a nida, you're not allowed to hand things?
Wait, again, what did you say? I'm sorry.
It's a chupas nida. So how does he put the ring on her finger? Right?
Chazkas only become usher after the ring gets there.
Well, but Shas, the ring gets on. Which comes first, right?
I'm saying, is he touching her directly? Maybe he could slide the ring on.
What?
She puts her finger up. He puts the ring on.
Right, but that's really not. So what they say is that even if there's a touching, it's only a temporary thing based on this Taisus.
What do you mean a temporary thing?
When this kid Taisus says that you can even have a young kayin, but since the touching is so fleeting, it's not a problem.
I mean, you brought down when we did shoes. If a guy sits on a bus next to a lady,
correct?
Right.
That Ramesh says it's okay.
Right. All these things we said that are things that on a train or something. I mean.
That we said, right. So Ramosha says that that's okay. It's very interesting. Ramosha says pushing against the person on a train is okay. Shaking hands is not okay.
Maybe shaking hands is not in public?
If shaking, the whole question is shaking hands derech chiba or not? If it's not derech chiba, then it should be allowed. But the problem with this Taisus is Taisus doesn't say it's not derech chiba. Right?
Meaning that he doesn't bring it down, you mean?
He's not saying that. I would have thought it's not. Well, that's not a loving touch, right?
I would think that there's 500 people looking at this lady over here.
That's what Dr. Corman is trying to say. It's in the Beis HaMikdash, and it's you know what I mean. So what exactly is the concern, right? Anyways, okay, whatever. That's the sugya comes in this Taisus. Fine. Let's see right. Right. Then what happens? Umenifa. And then they, what do you call it? They not shake it. They wave it, right? Heinif v'higish, and then they wave it, and they higish means they bring it close to the mizbeach, right? We had already which side of the mizbeach. It goes in the corner, the southwest corner, right? Komatz. Then he takes out the kmitza. That's the 3 fingers full onto the palm. The hikter and his makter it, and the rest of it goes to the kayan. Fine. So that's the next step of the carbon. Right? Let's say they gave her the drink and then they makar the mincha. So Shimon Aimer makar meaning the first sheet is saying they give it to her to drink, then they're makar the mincha. We're going to see in the Gemara about this. Shimon Aimer makar mincha. First they broke the carbon, then they give her the drink. And after he gives the woman to drink from the water, but if he did it the opposite, and he gave her the drink, and then he gave her the mincha, then it's kosher. Okay, so basically, seemingly we have a machlokes of which comes first, the drink or the carbon. Fine. So Zak the Gemara or Frak the Gemara asks Amar Rebbe Eliezer, the Dare. He said to Rabbi Yashia of his dar, right? Meaning as opposed to the other Rabbi Yashia. Right? Rashi says it's not right. It's not the same Rabbi Yashia of Rabbi. What do you call it? What was it? Of your Rabbi Yonasan, the Bar Plukta of Rabbi Yonasan, right? It was the one that argues on Rabbi Lazar Padas. Okay. So anyway, so like Taisav Akarach, he said, don't sit down on your. Karach means your legs, but don't sit on your legs. Meaning, don't sit down. Until you explain us this thing. How do you know that the carbon mincha of the saita needs to be waved? So you want to say minalan? Why are you asking? It says v'heinif. It has to be waved. So he says, no, but bailam minalan. How do you know that the baal, that the owner, meaning the woman, has to wave it? Maybe just the kayin has to. So ask you yad mishlamim, because we learn out exer shava of yad from shlamim. The kayin takes it miyad isha. Ksiv hasam yadav tiviana, that his hands will bring the carbon, right? Makan kayin, just like here it's a kayin, aflalan kayin. so too by shlamim it's a kohen. The kohen has to do the tnufa. Umalal and bailim, and just like by the shlamim, the bailim have to wave the carbon. Afkan bailim, so too here the bailim also have to wave it. Haketzad, how do you do both? How do you have the kohen and the baal doing it at the same time? Haketzad maniach yodei tachas yidei habailim umenif. The kohen puts his hands under the hands of the owner of the carbon and waves it. Right, so
this is longer for the second that you're just placing something in her hand.
So yeah, was Taisus? What was the Taisus lashon? Taisus lashon was l'shah. He says Mitsuya she'ena yetzahara Mitsuya l'shah. The yetzahara is not found for an hour. I don't think l'shah means literally an hour. But I guess it's just waved, right? It's up and down. How do you go? How do you wave it? Up and down, side to side, right? It's not all that long, right? Yeah, I don't think it means a second, but it means a very short amount of time. Yeah. So anyway, so that's how you do it by shlamim and by saitim. Whose hand goes? How do you know whose hand?
He doesn't have Rebbe Shekavonis like what a Daled Minim and does it for 15 minutes?
Now you're getting into the mitzvah tans, Shiloh. Right? Yeah.
Well, what's the head? I'm sorry, Abu.
It's okay, good.
What's the head to, let's say, by a doctor?
Because it's Avidah de Torrid. He's busy with his avodah.
Why don't we? Is that?
I'm
saying, is that a Gemara somewhere? Is that?
Yeah, Gemara in Shabbos. Shabbos, a few places.
So why don't we say the same thing here with Saita?
Why don't we just say Avidah de Torrid?
Yeah.
And Echanami, I'm not sure. I don't know why it doesn't say it's not Derech Chiba, and I don't know why it doesn't say that he's busy with his avodah. Unless that's the waving, unless that's what the wave. I don't know.
Zev, we did this years ago, Sri Yaakov, about photographers for ladies' magazines.
That was another one.
If it's the same as a doctor, does he have the same head as a doctor?
Yeah.
So what was the question in that one?
Meaning
what's the kasha? Guy's a photographer for Playboy magazine. Are you allowed to? Same way a frum guy becomes a doctor, can a frum guy be a photographer for Playboy magazine? Same kasha. We went over it.
Right, meaning because there he's
no offense to any of the doctors on this year.
No, because there is
Rabbi, there's got to be a difference between a doctor that's a certain type of doctor or a plastic surgeon that's doing.
Before they Aaron, you're looking for a new job, Aaron?
Before they tape urine.
Yeah, Dr. Gorman.
Yeah, okay, yeah. What do you say? What were you saying before?
No, it's there by a photographer. He's there to make her look good. That's his avodah. Like Paretz was saying with a plastic surgeon.
What is it called? The doctor you said the what?
Avidite Torrid. He's busy with his work. So Mamela, he's not thinking about other things. That's the head. All right. Anyways, okay. So let's see. Right. So they wave it. They bring it close to the mizbeach, and they take a kmitza. And then first they give her the drink, and then they makar the mincha. So Gemara says ha'akrava. We said in the beginning, they do tenufa, and then they bring it komatz hikter, and that already happened. So what do you mean that they give her the drink? And then they bring the carbon. Right? So hachi kamer. So this is what the Mishnah is saying. Seder menachas ketzad. What is the order of bringing the carbon mincha? Heinev. So they wave it, vehigish, they bring it to the mizbeach, komatz, he does the kmitza, vehikter, and then he's makar it, bashar, nechal kahanim, and the rest of it gets eaten to the kahanim. Ubashka gufa, pligi Reb Shimon Rabbana. And meaning that's all about the carbon. But the drinking, like when that is machlokes Rav Shimon Rabbanan. The Rabbanan sabri mashka v'achag magvas minchasa. First he gives it a drink, and then they bring the carbon. Rav Shimon savar makavas minchasa, v'achag mashka shenemer v'achar yishka, and afterwards she drinks. Right. So meaning, the machlokes is not meaning, even though the Mishnah said first the whole din of the carbon mincha, and then it said about the drinking, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily in order. It's two different things. First, it tells us the dinim of the korban mincha. Then there's the machlokes of when the drinking happens. Fine. If she drinks and then she brings the mincha, that's kosher. On Tomei Beis. So Tana Rabbanan, v'hishka ma tam eloima. So if again we should really take out the chumash and learn the psukim, but it says v'hishka twice, right? So what's it coming to teach us? So Tana v'hishka ma tam eloima. V'aloi kvar nemar v'hishka, because it already says v'hishka, right? So what does it teach us? She'im nimcha ka Megillah. Let's say they already erased the Megillah. By meres ein ishaisa, and she says that I'm not going to drink now, meaning they already erased Hashem's name, which is not a pashut thing, right? And then she says, I'm not drinking. I think the word ma'ar, I'm not exactly sure where the word ma'arinan comes from, but it basically means that we force her, and we force her to drink it by force, right? So, meaning the way you give a kid, the kid doesn't want to take medicine, so you force it down the kid's throat. So that's what we'll force it down her throat too. That's what Rebbe Kiva holds. Shimon Omer, ba'achar yishka matam le. What does it mean ba'achar yishka? Ba'aloi kvar nemer v'hishka. Elo la'achar kol ma'asim kulon ha'murun lamala. After all the ma'asim that happened, meaning they wrote the psukim down and they erased it. And they brought the korbanos, then she drinks. Magid, gimel dvarim ma'akvin ba. So therefore, it's telling us, Magid means it's telling us that there's three things that are ma'akiv, meaning three things that the woman has to do before she takes the drink. It has to be before, meaning she cannot drink until the kaimetz was brought, right? Meaning she can't drink if the kaimetz wasn't brought. And she can't drink before the Megillah was erased. And she cannot drink if she wasn't makabel the shvu on her. Right?
How is Rabbi Kiva chaylik on that? I'm not copying her Kiva's chaylik on that. Rabbi Kiva didn't wait. Why does he say different Rabbi Kiva than Rabbi Shimon Omer? Where does Rabbi Kiva chaylik? He's not wading into that machlekes at all.
Right. Well. Okay. So let's see how the Gemara goes through, because Gemara is going to ask. Let's see. So actually, karav kaimitz. So when it's saying until the kaimitz is brought, Reb Shimon l'tamei to Amar makar b's minchasav arkach mashka. That's Reb Shimon l'shitasa. That first you bring the karav mincha, and then you give her the drink. Right? So Gemara says actually nuchaka Megillah, until you don't erase the Megillah elamai mashkala. So what are you giving her to drink? Right? Which is I think what Akiva's asking, meaning that's not a dispute. You got to give her the drink. What was erased into the drink? They erased the psukim into the drink. Of course, it has to be done before, right? What are you giving her? No, we're talking about in a case where they erased it, but on the parchment you could still make out the letters. There's like the faint outline of the letters. So she's not allowed to drink. Even though the letters were erased, the actual ink was erased into the water, she's still not allowed to drink until mamish, there's no roisham of any letter on the parchment whatsoever. Right? So that's that.
How did they do it? Did they do mechika like we do for Sefer Torah? Did they put the whole parchment in and wait?
I don't know. I thought they just erased it. What do you mean? You want to know if they put the parchment into the thing?
No. I remember learning that they scrape it off.
Right, that's what I thought.
That's a mechika. But
yeah, that's a mechika, yeah.
So I'm wondering what Rishumei Nikr means.
I think that it's just. I think Avi's right. Either we're going to have it later.
It's very hard to do a mechika that Rishumei Nikr.
That there's nothing left. Didn't we have something about putting it in the water? Did we have that somewhere? Or we're going to have it. I don't know.
Maybe later on.
Could be it's later on. I hope it's later on. I hope it wasn't already. Yeah. Fine. So let's see weiter. So actually the Kabbalah Shvua, right? So before she was makabel the shvua, meaning before she answers him, so mishtahu de leishasya, she doesn't drink, right? Ha michtav kasvila. It's mashma that they write the psukim on the parchment even before she makes the shvua, right? Meaning really that should come after the shvua. Megillah Sotah shekasva kaidush dekabel shvua loy asav loy klum. If you write the Megillah Sotah before she's makabel the shvua, then you did nothing. So why are you bringing that? We know that has to be. It has to be that the Megillah was written before the shvua, right? So the Gemara says Kedin, but you're right. There's no chiddush there. Kedin means it's for no reason. They added it for no reason. They just, I guess, it's going through the motions of what has to be done. So they wrote that it has to be that she has to make the shvua first, even though you know that she has to make the shvua first, because you can't write the parsha until she says that she did not mess around, until she says amen on that shvua.
Why isn't this a chicken and an egg problem? Why is it a kasha from Rava? Maybe this is what Rava is talking about, this drasha.
What do you mean?
This says that what Shimon says, right? The third thing was actually Nemchika Megillah. So we're asking on that. I mean the shvua. Sorry, Kabbalah shvua. We asked on that from Rava.
Right.
How are we asking from Rava to Reb Shimon? Maybe Rava only said his halacha because Reb Shimon learned this drasha.
I hear. You're saying that maybe he only darshaned it because. Okay, yeah, I hear. I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question. Yeah. Okay. So fine. So, but my what lamaisa is the machlokes, right? Right. Meaning, what's a machlokes in our Mishnah? Which comes first, right? The drinking or the mincha. So tlasa kraiksiv. It says 3 psukim. V'hishka kama. It says the first time it says v'hishka. V'achar yishka, right? And then v'hishka basra. And then the third bas. So there's 3 hishkas. Rabbanan Savri, Vihishka Kama Lagufa. Vihishka Kama is telling you that you need it for itself, meaning you need to tell us the din that she needs to drink. Shemashka v'achakach makrivis minchasan. And that drinking comes after the korban mincha. V'achar yishka mibayla l'sharishumei nikar, like we said before. The achar yishka means to tell you that if there's a rishum there, if there's even a leftover of the ink, you have to get rid of it. I mean, you have to put it into the drink. The hishka basra and the hishka basra shem nimcha ka megillah by meres any shaisa, that if the megillah gets erased, and she says that she says I'm not going to drink, so marnina noiso mashka is about karcha, then we force her to drink. So those are the 3. That's how we darshan out the 3 behishkas, right?
How would it work if you force her to drink? She was already moide.
Right, so we're going to get to that. That's going to go right. So we're going to get to that in the bottom of the Amud. Yeah, very good. But Reb Shimon holds va'achar yishke legufa. Right, it's coming to tell itself shemakriv es minchase v'achar mashke. That first you makriv the mincha, right? And then you give her the drink, which is how they disagree with the Tanakama. V'hishka kama. And that's va'achar yishka. Now the first, that's the middle one. The hishka kama, the first hishka she'im hishka va'achar higravas minchasa k'sheira. Meaning the Reb Shimon is saying, even though I hold that you have to do the korban mincha first, and then you have to give the drink, right? But if you did the drink first and then you brought the korban, I'm fine with it. And the hishka basra, and the last hishka she'im nimcha ka megillah v'amra eini shaisa, that if it gets erased and she says she's not going to drink, marina noisa mashka noisa bal karcha, we force her to drink by herself, right? So that's the machlokes and how you darshan these v'hishkas. So the Rabbanon, and what about the Rabbanon? Why don't they learn like Reb Shimon, that it's coming to tell you that you do the carbon mincha first. B'di'evid like pasach kra, because according to the way Reb Shimon darshans it, the first pasuk, the first vihishka is coming to tell you that if you gave the drink before you brought the carbon, then it's okay. He says you don't. The first hishka in the parsha is not coming to teach you a b'di'evid, right? First you teach the din, then you teach a b'di'evid. The way the Reb Shimon is darshaning it, he's teaching a b'di'evid, then he's teaching a din. So that can't be. Okay. So I'm going to ask. So Reb Kiva Mashkana
is this kasha on the Rabbanan? I mean, I was going to ask the whole way through. How do you teach the pasuk according to the Rabbanan? The pasuk says, "V'kamatz hakayim mincha esas karasa, v'hikter hamizbecha." You bring the mincha. V'achar yashkes ha'isha. I mean, just teach of the pasuk says that the hashaka is after hashaka. The drinking is after the hakrava.
Right.
Well, how do you teach that pasuk according to Rabbanan? Is that this kasha of the Gemara? Because if you would teach
doesn't
it that
sound
way,
like that's the Gemara's kasha, right?
And usually the Gemara would ask both ways. Why does the Rishimon not hold like the Rabbanan?
You stop asking. How did the Rabbanan learn it? The order of the Mishnah is not like that, right? That's what you ask. The order of the Psukim is not like that.
The pasuk itself, the pasuk seems to say klar that the drinking is after the hakrava. Just teaching the pasuk.
Right. I don't know. Me saying in the order, it's the Rabbanan is shver. Right? Yeah.
I mean, unless that's this kasha of the Gemara. That's why the Gemara only asked one way. Why the Rabbanan didn't hold like Reb Shimon. We know why Reb Shimon didn't hold like the Rabbanan, because that's the pasuk. But the Rabbanan l'chayr should have held like Reb Shimon because that's the taich. And the answer is it can't be that that's the taich, because that would mean that the Torah is opening with a b'di'evet.
Right. I hear. I don't know. I'm putting it under the drasha umbrella. Yeah. Okay. But some Rebbe Kiva mashkanais about karka. Does Rebbe Kiva really hold that we force her to drink? We have a brayso that has a machlokes. Vatani Rebbe Yehuda Omer kalbus shel barzel matilun l'soif pia. You take some sort of, where's Harold? Harold on with this? Is there some sort of metal?
Well, the dentist would call it an appliance. They call those things.
Hello?
Yeah, Harold. What would this thing be called?
A mouth prop?
A mouth prop? Is that? I mean, you prop open her mouth.
Yeah,
and then, and it just holds up. I guess that would be a mouth. There's nothing more, no more medical word than that. A mouth prop.
Pretty much.
Okay. We believe you. Okay,
when they do a tooth extraction, they have the wedge that sticks in there, and you can't open your mouth anymore because that's wedges that are wide open, and you can't close it either.
Right, there you go. Right, exactly. Yeah. Right. Even when the dentist asks you questions, right, you can't open it. Right. So I mean, they wedge open the mouth. Okay, so the Harold says a dental, whatever, prop. Right. So they prop open the mouth, and then they pour the water down there. Right. Shem nimchaka Megillah v'amra ein isha. So what we're saying that if they erase the Megillah, and they said that she says I'm not going to drink. So we take this thing, we put it into her mouth. She can't close her mouth, and we force it down there like a dentist. Right. That's Shitas Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Kiva.
Presumably, this would include more touching.
Yes. But like Zev said, it's no different than untying her hair and ripping off her clothing.
And also, if you ever need to do, skill on a person, you toss her off the cliff. Also, how do you touch a woman?
That's true.
When you're doing skill on?
But there we already said that she wears clothing. Yeah, okay, but that's true. Yeah. So anyway, so I'm Rabbi Kiva disagrees.
But you really can't get together with her after you gave her skila. So we're not.
So that the Gemara said. The Gemara said all this. We had this. Right? It was the last week, 2 weeks ago. Right? That there's no chashash. That's why people the tzeirei, whatever they call it, kahanim, the pirchei kahanim can be all right. Anyways, Amar Rabbi Kiva, klum ano tzrichin. This is what Akiva was saying before. Klum ano tzrichin ela lebaika. Why are you giving her the water? To check her out. right? She's already checked out. If she says she's not drinking it, then that means she's guilty. She just doesn't want to blow up. So it did its job, meaning the drink did its job. So there's no reason to force her, right? That she just has to get divorced and finished. What it means is that if the kaimitz, they didn't bring the kaimitz yet, meaning the carbon, then she's allowed to change her mind, right? And we won't force her to drink it. But once the carbon is brought, she can't change her mind. Whatever it is that you see according to Rebbe Kiva, you don't force her. So what is asked? Why don't you ask? Why don't you ask from the Bryce itself? When the kohen brings the kaimitz, you can't go back. That why shouldn't she be able to? Why do we force her to drink it after the carbon was brought? Shouldn't we say, well, if she says no, then it did its job, right? How come we were saying that according to Reb Shimon, it's according to Reb Kiva, I'm sorry, we're saying that it did its job because since she doesn't want to drink it, it's clear that she's guilty. So then how come if she says no after they bring the carbon, she's not guilty, right? So Gemara says, like kasha, and now it goes to a little bit of a technical point here. It's not technical, but meaning it depends on what type, why she's saying no. Resisa, I'm sorry. When she says that she doesn't want to, she changes her mind to become a hadra, but she goes back on it because she's scared, right? So and one is because she's doing it out of like brius means health, meaning there's a difference in why she decides to say no. If she's doing it out of she's strong and she says that she doesn't want to drink, meaning she doesn't look nervous, she doesn't look anything. She says, you know what? She says, I spoke to my lawyers and we decided that I'm not drinking. Right? She does it with a clear head. So then we know that clearly they decided that she was guilty. But machmas resisa. But if she's just saying no, I don't want to drink it because she's clearly showing that she's nervous, then it depends. Actually, if she decided she's not drinking it before they brought the carbon, because the Megillah was not yet erased, or even if they did erase the Megillah, and the Kahanim didn't do it properly because they weren't allowed to, because they weren't supposed to erase it yet. So she could change her mind, and we don't make her drink. But once the kaimitz is brought, the bedin ovid Kahanim demachki, where the Kahanim did the right thing because they're supposed to erase it after the carbon is brought, she can't change her mind, even if she's doing it because she's agitated. Okay, so there's different levels of refusal. That's what comes out. So now we're playing psychologist here. If she's doing it from a point of confidence, then we just say she's guilty. We don't force her to drink. If she's doing it because of nervousness, then it's going to depend at what point does she do it. Fine. Then I'm going to ask kasha Rebbe Kiva. There's a kasha, there's a steer Rebbe Kiva. Hasam amar mechika ma'akva. There, by the first price, he said that the mechika is what's ma'akiv, meaning once they erase Hashem's name, then they have to force her to drink. That was on top of the previous Amid. In this price, at the bottom of the Amid, they said that the kaimitz is ma'akiv. So Gemara answers, Trei Tanaim, I'll leave it to Rebbe Kiva. It's two Tanaim having a machlokes is what Rebbe Kiva said. Right? It's two Tanaim disagreeing with Rebbe Kiva's opinion. Fine. Then Peretz, that's almost like an epoch. That teretz. It's almost like switching. We just say, okay, it's two opinions. Let's say she's very confident. Again, machas b'riyusa means because she's healthy, meaning she's strong. She says, I'm not drinking. So which we said, okay, if she's confident and she says she's not drinking, so we just say, okay, she's guilty. Done. She has to get divorced. But then she says, I'm going to drink. Right, so then she changed her mind. Since she said she's not drinking, she's basically saying I was tamei and I'm guilty. Since she made a chazaka on herself that she's tamei, she can't go back. Right, because once she made herself guilty, that's it. maybe she said she's going to drink. Maybe that reveals to us that really the only reason why she says she won't drink is because she was scared, right? Meaning we thought she looked very confident when she said no, but maybe she was only saying this because she was scared. And that's why she changed her mind later and she says, no, I'm going to drink it. So so we're not sure what to do with this lady. Fine. You have to put something bitter into the water. My timer, it's the bitter waters. Shemorim kfar means that it has to be bitter even before they erase the psukim into it. It still has to be.
What are you putting in for bitter?
I don't know.
They put on the circle batteries.
You're funny guy.
I don't know what do you put in there?
Cyanide. Yeah.
I would say hot sauce, but nowadays people are into hot sauce.
How is it possible they don't tell us what to put in? They tell us everything else.
That's what's bothering me.
I mean, why don't they tell us what exactly to put in?
Yeah.
They
leave it up to us. Since when did they do that?
They said teku also. They just said teku. That doesn't bother you either?
No, the teku was a good shiloh.
No, teku doesn't bother me.
The teku was a shiloh. Whether we say maybe she was taka nervous, right? Anyways, all right, I'm going to run and daven Ma'ariv. The Olam should have themselves a fine night and give them a sliach.
Amen. Akiva.
Yes, Gerson.
Stalled?
Yes, I'm here.
What you asked before, Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shimon, they have to be chaylik on something.
Rashi says they're being chaylik in something else.
And b'diavad.
If there's a din of what's it called? If it's hishka v'achagach hifka, right? B'diavad, yeah.
Yeah, because
if she could be chayzer or not.
Rabbi Akiva's drasha is from Vihishka. That's the first Vihishka of the three drashas.
Correct. Right. His drasha is from his drasha of the Hishka of Achakaf is
right.
Where they darshan it from.
Yeah.
Rashi says it earlier. Rashi also says earlier, like Polgar the Rebbe Kiva Elamar Darish Haikro.
Wait, which Rashi are you in?
There's a Rashi earlier that says they're not chelik. Then Rashi later on explains what they're actually chelik in them.
Okay.
Rashi, Reb Shimon Aimer Vacher Yishka Matam Let Rakvai Nemer. Like Polgar the Rebbe Kiva Elamar Darish Hachi, my Darish Hachi.
Right.
And then it's an afkamina of B'diavad or not.
Yeah. All right, Tashikoyach.
Sure.
Gute Nacht.